let's take a look at next week.
Do it.
All right, so we have me versus Rome Wolves. I am projected for 242 points. Rome Wolves is projected 252. Looking at it, we both started out 0-1. We have no wins to our name yet. One of us will after next week. My keys for my team is Stafford has to perform better. He wasn't on the field a lot last game, so he didn't get a chance to throw the ball as much. So hopefully they'll be able to pick that up now. My tight end position needs work. I'm looking at upgrading there. And then Andre Ellington is actually out with a mild PCL strain, so I'm going to have to find a replacement for him. I've got a lot of depth on my team, though, so I'm not too worried about that. For Rome Wolves, he's still playing Connor Barth, who's not even on a team currently, so he needs to replace that kicker whenever he can. And he needs a better third wide receiver. I actually don't have it in front of me who that was, but I did take that note. Any comments?
Yeah, I mean, you made some valid points. He has a kicker that's not on a team.
Yeah.
It's hard to score points that way. I read that in a book somewhere.
Sage
I
advice.
have the winner for this one. Basically, I'm a big Mark Ingram fan this year.
Yeah.
And you're going against a very, very bad defense with Tampa Bay. You also have Brandon Cooks.
Yep.
So I'm seeing a good matchup there. I still think Andrew Luck is going to struggle a little bit against the Jets. I also
Really?
don't see. Yeah, you do have some depth with the running back position, so you can afford to sit Ellington, which is one of those 25 injured players. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I got you on this one.
Sweet. Of course, I do too. It is very likely I'm going to be picking myself throughout the season. The next matchup we got is Take Off Your Pants and Jacket versus the ATL Falcons. Pants and Jacket was rated to score about 225 versus ATL Falcons 240. Obviously, these numbers are almost always hyperinflated. A lot of the projections that we had last week were much lower. Yours was actually the only one that was spot on. You were projected 264, and that's what you hit. So everybody else was lower. Yep. NFL actually pegged yours perfectly. So yeah, 225 versus 240. My keys for this game is Pants and Jacket obviously needs to upgrade some positions. He has the best tight end in the game, which is awesome, but he needs better running backs. He needs his players to hit their bonuses, which I don't think he did last week. And obviously he needs an upgrade at the quarterback position. And it's,
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Eli Manning did poorly, even having a somewhat decent receiving core, even without Victor Cruz.
mhm.
Are we making the picks yet, or?
You can make it whenever you want to.
Okay. Yeah, and ATL Falcons as a couple injured players. Terrell Suggs is out for the year. Actually, I forgot to include him on that list. So, I'm on the Chad bandwagon right now.
Yeah?
He's just like he's in Florida doing his thing and just keeps putting up points. I think it says Chad on the back of his jersey. He's got some good, great players, and he even has some great players on the bench. So this may be his year. I think I might join James on the Chad bandwagon. I'm choosing Chad because he's got some young guys, Gronkowski, Yeldon, Cunningham. Some of them are going against some really bad teams, and I see Eli getting some garbage time if he does bad against the Falcons.
That's
the
true.
Falcons like to keep it close one way or the other, and I don't know what this new coach is going to bring yet. So I'm still expecting the Mike Smith outcome of I don't know, just not doing their job. And,
Yeah. All right. For me, I think even though he let me down last week against you, I'm going to go with Falcons again this week. Just because he does have... It seems like he has better players overall. They didn't perform as well as they should have last week. But it seems like everybody he has is at least solid, if not flashy. All right, the next match is you, Hope Solo Sex Slave, versus Asian Persuasion. This is a battle of the Titans coming out of this previous week. You and Asian Persuasion were in the top 3, with you at the top, of course. My keys for this game is getting the just get rid of Eric Decker and play somebody else. But again, you need Ivory to start strong again, like he did last week, which is entirely possible. And a tight end. Who do you have for your tight end?
I have Richard Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers.
Ah, I see. I saw he didn't perform great last week, so that was one of my keys for the game is just upgrade at tight end position, or even have the guy just play better. And then for Asian Persuasion, he also has a very solid team. The only thing that I saw was he had an underperforming running back last week. That's about it. What's your take on the situation?
Yeah, DeMarco Murray, I mean, even though he had a touchdown, he didn't do what we were expecting. Is that the running back you're referring to?
Yes.
All right. You know, I'm going to be one of the few people to go against my my own logic here. You know, I'll take this from AP. You know, if you want to be the best, you have to believe you're the best. And I'd love to refer to myself as the LeBron James of fantasy football. But realistically, and this is how I felt last week, I look at who I'm playing, the Asian Persuasion, and he's got some powerhouse players there. He's got some good matchups. He's got some great defensive players. I'm actually gonna choose Matt on this one.
Oh wow, okay.
I still believe in Eric Decker. I still believe in let's see who else I got. I'm getting crap for Chris Ivory, the Ivory Coast, as I like to call him, coast on in the end zone. And I'm playing. You know, I got some tough matchups. The Aaron Rodgers playing the Seahawks. Seahawks have beaten the Packers last 3 times.
Yep.
Even though they're playing at home. Yeah, it's tough. You know, I'm still hoping for Scott Chandler to kind of do something big. I don't know how Gronkowski's not being covered, but
Yeah.
if they ever can shut Gronkowski down, then the Scott Chandler party's about to begin, and I can upgrade that tight end position. Other than that, yeah, I'm choosing Matt on this one because he has better matchups.
Fair enough. So you're going to be keeping Eric Decker, is what I heard.
I'm going to be keeping Eric Decker because a little bit of logic here. Like I said, I like to share facts that are based on data.
Go ahead.
Eric Decker was not made by Peyton Manning. Julius Thomas was made by Peyton Manning. Eric Decker came out of University of Minnesota as a pretty much a star. He was already there, and I don't think he's in an offense bad enough where he's not going to succeed. Geno Smith is not their quarterback. Fitzpatrick is, and whether it's garbage time or whether it's exceeding expectations in the beginning, Eric Decker is going to get passes thrown his way. Hopefully, they're touchdowns.
All right.
Hopefully it's a lot of touchdowns. Hopefully, I can trade Eric Decker to James for I don't know, Julio Jones or
That sounds like trade bait right there. I think that needs to be discussed. I think that's got to go up immediately. All right. So I have this matchup being very close for all the reasons that you just listed. I am going to have to go with Asian Persuasion, mainly because I hate Eric Decker. Also because he did ride me up to a victory last week as well. And Matt Forte, Jesus Christ. Matt Forte. That's definitely part of it too. Moving on to the next match. We got Mile High Militia versus 99 Problems, but a Vic ain't won. Mile High is a previous champion, as I'm sure you know, and he's already started off strong. He is in that top half in the winner's circle right now. From what I saw last week, though, he needs his 2 main running backs to really step up. just in case one of the other premier players he has does have a bad game. Um, that being said, Antonio Brown, with the 1 week of evidence we have, is playing like he did last year, on pace to have, another crazy fantasy year. Versus 99 Problems, but if Vic ain't one, he's got an okay team, but I think his running back core needs to be a little stronger, needs to perform better, or maybe even an upgrade at the position, if he wants to be able to keep up with this matchup. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, Antonio Brown is a great receiver, and he has a great quarterback throwing to him. I mean, Roethlisberger, he can be dangerous on the field, or he can be dangerous at a college party. It's give or take there. But Antonio Brown has been consistent. I am taking the Mile High Militia on this one. Again, I like to look at matchups, and Breeze is going against Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay's defense is garbage. I can throw for 300 yards against Tampa Bay's defense. And he has, I just see Breeze having a good game. Hopefully Peterson does something. I think the dark horse here is going to be on 99 Problems, but Vic ain't one, because he has Carson Palmer going against Chicago. Not sure what's going to happen there, but Palmer's always been a great quarterback that's just been hit with really rough situations when it comes to health.
Yeah.
So if he stays healthy with A.J. Green and Demaryius Thomas, this could be the game of the week. So.
You heard it here. And, I have to agree with everything you just said. I'm rolling with the past champion myself. Next match we got is the Evil Empire versus Deflating Ain't Easy. Our two resident Pats fans squaring off this week. We saw the Evil Empire take what looked to be a losing situation and roll it around on me through the course of 2 games. Not even. It was a 6-point game by the time Monday came around. But he definitely needs McCoy to step up a bit, not so much as a overall production, but he really wants to see more rushing touches, because he had it split so that it was 50-50 between catching passes and the rushing yards. And obviously catching passes as a running back is nice because it gives you that little bit of extra, but you definitely want that bonus 100 yards in there before that. You want the passing to be gravy rather than part of the steady main diet. But he does have Tony Romo. Tony Romo fucking played his heart out in that last game, and even if Romo does happen to get hurt, he has Roethlisberger waiting to step up into that position. And if he wants to rely on Romo, then he's got Roethlisberger as trade bait, who definitely performed well last week. What's your take on this match?
Yeah, that's true. I'm with your reasoning there for the most part. I am actually going to take a dark horse here. I'm going to go with Christian. There's another matchup of the 1-0s, and this is going to be tough to justify, but I just feel like the matchups are there. I think Marshawn Lynch going against Green Bay for some reason. I just see. I don't know. I see something exciting there. I think that might be one of Marshawn Lynch's breakout games. I think Greg Olson's going to have to do much better. DeAndre Hopkins is the only receiver in the Texans, so
yeah,
this could be one of those close ones where James is up by 100 and Christian comes back. I didn't even feel that comfortable being up by 100 because we've seen so many crazy swings like last week. So my pick is going to be Deflating Ain't Easy, but it's not. It's going to be a bloodfest. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I think this is going to be probably one of the closest matchups. I think as long as he's able to replace Jordy Nelson's production, find that extra little boost from either a trade or a good free agent pickup. There's not a whole lot available out there in free agency, but there are definitely guys in there now who would be an upgrade for him. So I think if he takes some steps, you're looking at a really close match. And I'm actually going to have to go with the Evil Empire on this one. Just because I saw what he did last week. I saw what happens when Tony Romo steps on the field and it turns into a fucking shootout. And it gets ugly.
That's true. They have a division game. One side note, too, that I had put into my reasoning as well is Mike Evans and C.J. Anderson are both on the injured list right now. Not injured reserve, but they're injured. So I think there's going to be more caution on their end, so they're going to be less productive in a fantasy environment.
That's absolutely
Those
true.
are two of the top players for those teams. So.
Yep, absolutely. All right, the last matchup we have is Levy's on a Plane versus Word to Your Mima. This is a double 0-1 matchup. However, Word to Your Mima being a previous champion, actually both of them being previous champions, they know what it takes to get there. And, over the course of 1 week, there's not a whole lot that you can ultimately decide. However, they are both sitting, on the bottom half of the winner's circle. Levy's on a Plane is actually looking at kind of a deep hole, only scoring, I think it was 159 points last week. So he knows he needs to make some moves. He knows he has to do something to get back up in there. So look for that. But he's got Jay Cutler, Joe Flacco, two guys that did absolute garbage for him last week. And then, of course, he lost Des Bryant, which is one of his premier players. It was actually his keeper. But yeah, and then on the other side of the ball, we got Word to Your Mima. He's sitting on just a whole ton of injured and suspended players. He's actually got Julius Thomas, Antonio Gates, T.Y. Hilton, and Le'Veon Bell, who are either injured or suspended. They're all on his roster currently. So he's got a lot of good names out there, but they're not going to be playing for him. What do you think about it?
Yeah, he's got more criminals than a Florida State college football team on his roster. I would be choosing Levy's on a Plane with this one, minus the one exception because of Des Bryant's injury and the huge impact that's going to have.
Yep.
And while I also note that which player was it? T.Y. Hilton is now on the injured list as well. I think he still has some pretty good players here. I think there's going to be a good matchup with Jamal Charles. I see Matt Ryan doing his thing as well. And, this is a tough matchup. I just look at both teams, and both of them got hit hard by injuries. So
Yep.
I think I'm going to choose Burnaby on this one. Word to Your Mima. But not 100% sure it's going to be too crazy. Those injuries make a huge impact, as we've all seen. So,
Oh yeah.
like the legendary Kelvin Benjamin Jordy Nelson trade that fell apart.
Yeah. Yep. That'll do it. The way I'm looking at it, I'm gonna have to go with Levy's on a Plane. I'm gonna choose him to take it out this week. I'll tell you why. He had the worst team points wise throughout the first week, and he knows it. He sees those numbers. He knows he has to make moves in order to get back into it. So he's gonna do something, or he's gonna at least try to do something before this week, or maybe even next week, whenever he can. But you've got Word to Your Mima, who's got all these great players who he's not going to want to get rid of unless he has to, because a lot of them will be coming back. And, Le'Veon Bell's, I think, back next week even. T.Y. Hilton, Antonio Gates, Julius Thomas, they're all going to be players that he's going to want to hold on to as long as he can. So he's not going to be making too many drastic moves. So the onus is on Levy's on a Plane. I think if he can get something done before tomorrow, even if it's not by tomorrow, he has a chance to get in before Sunday's games and get somebody on his team as a difference maker to help him take it down and move up to 1-1 for the season.
Absolutely, I think you got some smart ideas there. I mean, obviously, yeah, if you stash all these great players that are injured, they're gonna be no use to you while they're injured or suspended. And you're right. I mean, he can play. Levy's on a plane can play the waiver wire and make some huge impacts there. Statistically, the winners of each league every year are the most active on the waiver wire.
Yep.
My only concern is Jay Cutler going against the Arizona defense, but I got a funny feeling he's probably gonna, give the Jay Cutler to the bench and probably make some changes there. That's just a assumption, prediction.
No, I definitely agree. And speaking of waivers, he's actually sitting on the number 2 waiver wire, he's number 2 on the waiver wire, just behind me actually. So as long as he's not trying to pick up the same guy I am, he's gonna get whoever he wants from that free agency. So he definitely has a chance to pull somebody from free agents, and possibly even pull off a trade to where he's right back in the thick of things.
Yeah, and that's one of the best parts about this too. I'm not always very active in the trades. I don't think I'm shrewd enough personally, but it's almost like that game where you're trying to figure out that card game, like who's the robber, but everyone has to have their eyes closed. It's like there's all these trades going on behind the scenes. And you never know about them until they're finalized, and it's like maybe 9 players are
Oh yeah, yep. No, I've seen a good number of those kind of trades go down over the years. All right, for our last segment of the evening, we're actually going to take a quick look at the big board of seasonally type stats, which I have up right now. I know you're not able to see it, so I'll just kind of go over everything real quick. Basically, it lists everybody's teams, their win-loss ratio, the streak that they're on, their win-loss streak, and I'm going to be keeping a track of everybody's point totals throughout the entire season. And then I just throw in a couple of notes as well. So, obviously, you're on top right now, 264. Then Mile High Militia with 248. Agent Persuasion is number 3 at 245. The Evil Empire at 240. Rome Wolves at 220. And Word to Your Mima at 205. And then the bottom half of the winners bracket, where we're not so winning. Deflating Ain't Easy with 203. 99 Problems But a Vic Ain't One at 202. Bayou Battalion at 201. And then the sub 200s with Pants and Jacket at 188. ATL Falcons at 179. And then Levies on a Plane at 156. So there's just a quick look at everybody's current point totals, where you're standing at the start of the season. And first game in, it's not huge. However, it's good to know, good to keep track of. All right.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that, and hopefully there's some more excitement and some action on the point totals. And
oh yeah.
So.
All right. Before we go, I actually have one thing for you. The last 2 people I've had on the show, before we went out, I like to ask who you think is going to win the whole thing. Who's your prediction to take it all?
That is a good question. I have one theory, and I won't go into too huge of details because I need this theory. I don't have any keepers, so I think that the waiver wire, and I think that underrated players and new players are going to have a big impact on that. I don't think it's going to be anyone that is favored at the beginning of the season. So, but it's too hard to tell. I mean, I'm always gonna try to fight for it, but I'm the Rodney Dangerfield of this league. I can't. So, if I had to throw out one guess right now, I'm on the Chad bandwagon. That's final. Yeah, I see Chad going like. How many games do we have? 12 or 10?
I think it's 13 and then 3 playoff games.
I see Chad going like 11-5, and then just destroying his way through the playoffs, and then So,
Yeah.
getting his money shipped down to Florida and then probably the Super Bowl, which well, it's what you got to do on the Super Bowl. So.
Yep. All right. That's gonna be reserved for a later date when I have a little more information. If I had to say off the top of my head, I think I'm always gonna pick myself, just because I'm not favored right now, but I feel like I would be able to pull off whatever moves I need to in order to get there. And I haven't won the damn thing yet, but I'm planning to. All right, any
The positive attitude, man.
that exactly.
Yes, he has some good players, so we'll see what happens. So
Yeah.
It's,
All right. You have any closing thoughts?
no, I think I was more focused on the fact that in the presidential race, D's Nuts is picking up a lot of traction. And, I think in one of the polls, D's Nuts, had like 10% of the votes, which is funny because if you're telling a coworker that 1 in 10 voters prefer D's Nuts, you gotta be really careful where you're at. So
I feel like that's definitely a T-shirt marketing opportunity right there.
D's Nuts may be up to some big things this year.
It's absolutely true. That's something to look into. I'm gonna have to go see if I can get a patent on this before tomorrow morning and start printing out some D's Nuts T-shirts. See if we can get that 10% up to 15 by next week.
You never know. That's actually a brilliant idea. If I can beat you the patent office, I will. Because if you become a millionaire in America by selling D's Nuts T-shirts, then people can hate on you your whole life. But you just made $1 million off selling shirts that says D's Nuts on it, and that's a genius idea.
Absolutely. I mean, that's better than the Pet Rock guy in my book.
Very close. Very close. I have like 3 Pet Rocks. No, I shouldn't say that. It sounded like creepier. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. All right. Yeah. Work on that, and I hope that you take us all out to Vegas at some point.
Absolutely. I'll definitely do that once I get them printed up. I'll go ahead and take the loan out and just preemptive party sounds good to me. All right. So that is our show for this week. Tune in next week. We'll have somebody new on, and we'll find out how we all did this week. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, Josh.
Absolutely.